My name is Chapani, and I am the Alliance Lead for Microsoft. Our presenter today will be Murai, Product Manager for Cloud Productivity. So Murai will take us through an introduction to the new commerce experience. How does it affect your billing? What are the cancellation policy and the subscription options that you have as a partner, and the migration timelines to move to NCE? Yes, this session will be recorded and we'll love to hear from you. So if you have any questions, please drop down your questions in the chat section. We will take your questions after the presentation. For those of you just joining us, welcome to our webinar. So let's get started.
I think as Shalini said, the main purpose of this webinar is to converse with our partners, our resellers, and inform you about the new commerce experience under Microsoft and, the changes that are coming and how they'll affect you, as well as how you can do your best to actually benefit from these changes and benefit your customers as well in the long end. So what the new commerce is really is centered around changes in the way that you now purchase, subscriptions and manage your subscriptions going forward. As it is, officially, the new commerce experience was actually launched on the 10th of January this year. And in terms of the deadlines that we're currently working with is as of the 10th of March, any new subscriptions that you sign up. Okay, sorry, if you could kindly mute. I think someone has their mic unmuted. Okay, great. Okay. All right, so as I was saying, as of the 10th of January, 10th of March, all new signups or all new subscriptions have to, be processed under this new commerce experience we're going to talk about. And then in terms of the renewals, which is your existing subscriptions that, customers already have, these have a deadline as of the 1st of July. All of the renewals have to be, under the new commerce experience. And just to, let you know what we're talking about in terms of the product line that is being addressed today. The new commerce experience we're talking about right now, because there was one for Azure that happened last year, but the new commerce experience we're talking about today is really focused around the cloud productivity or Microsoft Modern Workplace solutions. So that's covering, your Microsoft 365, your Dynamics, your Power Platform. So what you would know, under Cloud Mania, we classify as Modern Workplace is what's really going to be affected going forward. Another change that's coming as well is a few price changes that are coming through as of the 1st of March. So we're going to talk about that as well as some incentives, promotions that are currently being run in terms of helping us push and get our customers to move to the new commerce experience. So that said, before anyone can even start to talk about the new commerce experience terms that are coming up, all the changes, the first major thing that I think is quite important for us to cover is in regards to the subscription terms and the billing terms that are now coming under NCE. So currently, just to cover, what we're currently on, which is what I'll be referring to as legacy CSP. Under legacy CSP, as it is right now, all our customers are signing up on an annual contract or annual term, and then they have an option to either pay monthly or pay annually. Going into NCE now, there's some new terms in terms of, defining the terms, subscription terms, or if you want to call it the length of your agreement that we have. And speaking on that, we've now got 3 different terms. So you've got your monthly term, meaning it's almost as if you're renewing your agreement each and every month. And then we've got the annual as well as the tri-annual terms that are going to be introduced. Okay, and please note, it's not all the plans that will have tri-annual, but from the comms we've had with Microsoft, a majority of the plans will now have this option on NCE. So that said, it's either you have committed to a monthly term or you've committed to an annual term, or a 36-month or triannual term. And then attached to that subscription term that you've signed up on, there's now a bit more flexibility coming under NCE, where you have the option to either pay monthly, or you can pay on upfront, depending on whether you're annual or 36-month. So just to give you a few examples so that you can actually see how this all ties in. So for example, if you're on the monthly subscription, firstly, the only option that you obviously have is to go on to the monthly billing, okay? So you build at the end of every month. And the point to raise on this is now on the monthly term, you'll notice that the pricing will be higher. So if you're looking at a comparison between someone who signs up on an annual term versus someone who signs up on a monthly term, you will notice that over that 12-month period, you're going to be paying 20% more if you're on a monthly term. So the monthly price you'll pay on 1 month is more expensive than the monthly billing option your customer will have under the 12-month or 36-month agreement. Okay, so that's something to note. It's a huge difference, because currently, you're not affected whether you're paying monthly or you're paying annually. When you split that cost or spread it over the 12 months, the monthly cost is the same. Then going on to the long-term commitments, your 12-month and 36-month commitments, you still have those monthly, billing option, and then you also have your upfront or annual on the 36-month, okay? In terms of the pricing, you will then obviously have a savings, because on the monthly term, it's a bit more expensive. But on the 12-month and 36-month term, the monthly price that you'll pay is going to be the same. And when I'm saying it's going to be the same, I'm basically saying that on the 12-month term and the 36-month, subscription terms, there's no additional savings if you go on a 36-month currently. It's the same pricing that you'll get if you're looking at a per month or annual cost for your 12-month and 36-month. The benefit, obviously, in going onto these long-term commitments also is you get to lock down the price for your customer, meaning whichever subscriptions you sign up at that point in time, even if there's any price increases during your term. So maybe you've signed up today, and then after 3 months, your customer wants to increase 4 more seats to their existing subscription. They're not going to be affected by the price. They will continue to enjoy the current price that they signed up on for the duration of their subscription term. Okay, so you can basically lock in that price. And obviously, if you're on a 36-month term, if any price changes come up, you also have locked in that price for a full 36-month, which is a huge benefit. And that said, just speaking on when I mentioned that, the terms might differ for the different products, it's just important to note that the Windows 365 offering will only be available on a monthly term in NCE. So just something to take note of, right? So I'm hoping we now have a better understanding in terms of the subscription terms and the billing options and how those tie into each other. Because then now when we're going to talk about the subscription management and the changes that are coming in, you will then see how everything ties in. So I'm hoping you were able to grasp all the new terms that we covered in the previous slides. So speaking on subscription management now, let's start off with the change that's coming in terms of service cancellation, because I think it's one of the most significant changes that's coming up. Currently, as it is, whether you've signed up and are paying monthly or on an annual billing option, you're able to cancel your subscription. And take note, this is also based solely depending on the OPCO that you're in. Different OPCOs and countries do have different cancellation policies, but as it is right now, for most, your customer is able to come and cancel the subscription at any point in time. And they get a full credit or when they cancel within 24 hours. And then I think after that, it's a prorated credit that they would get. So at any point in time, I'm able to cancel as it is right now. Now, under NCE, things are changing quite a bit, all right? In terms of the 24-hour cancellation, so I provision license today, within 24 hours, I want to cancel. As long as I cancel within that 24-hour period, I get a full credit, okay? So your customer will get a full credit, you will get a full credit as the partner as well. But after that, now under NCE, there's only a 72-hour period in which you can now cancel your subscription. Meaning that after that 72-hour period has passed or 3 days has passed, you can no longer cancel your subscription and have to run through with it or commit to it for the remainder of the term. Now, what this means is, you know, for a customer who's committed on the long-term commitments, so for example, if you've committed onto an annual term or a 36-month term, regardless of the billing option you have. So whether you're, you know, paying monthly or upfront or annually, you still are then held to the commitment that you've made, and Microsoft in the back end is expecting full payment over the duration, you know, depending on the billing option you've chosen. So what this means to, you know, both us, you know, as CloudMania and our CloudMania partners, it means that once we get a customer to sign on to, you know, the long-term commitments, yes, they make a savings, but it's very important to now note that we basically now both have a commitment to pay for the remainder of that term. We can no longer cancel midway, all right? So something very important to touch on, something important for us to communicate to our end customers so that they're now aware, because it's quite critical. We will not be able to get out of such a scenario. Even if a company closes, Microsoft, it's not something that they're going to reconsider, okay? So something very important to note. If you're within your 72-hour cancellation period, you know, then you can go ahead and cancel. But after that, we're not able to do that anymore. Another change is in terms of subscription suspensions. So, you know, currently the way we're managing our tenants is, if either we're trying to, you know, terminate a customer subscription where they no longer want those services, or we basically just want to suspend and ensure that, you know, we get billing in terms of the end customer, we have an option to suspend services, all right? And that said, when we suspend services currently, which is under legacy CSP, we also get the billing part suspended in from the Microsoft side, meaning we don't continue to incur any charges for that period that that subscription is suspended. And we can, you know, then activate it again if a customer pays up, or we leave it to run through, you know, the 90-day period it has, and then it expires. Okay. Under NCE, the major change that's coming there is in terms of, you know, suspending the service and what happens in the back end, that remains the same. You know, the customer services are disabled, they can't continue with their day-to-day, and only the admin can, you know, access the data. But the main thing is now the billing side. So when we suspend now, as much as the customer services stop, you know, being functional to the end customers, we continue to be billed by Microsoft. And the reason why there's now this option is because Microsoft now gives us the option to either, you know, terminate or cancel your subscription, as well as the option to suspend. So we now have a subscription management capability of canceling, which we didn't have before. All right. So it's very important to take note that when you're suspending a customer now under NCE, you are still going to continue to be billed by Microsoft. And basically, if that customer, if you know they're not going to pay up, it's within, you know, our best interest. If it's still early and maybe they're on a monthly term which renews at the end of every month, it's better to terminate that service, because you continue to be billed. And it speaks back into that cancellation to say, you know, even if you suspend it and try to get the customer to pay up, you still have the commitment to pay up the remainder of the term if you've passed the cancellation window. So something that's very important in terms of how we will manage our subscriptions going forward. Okay, so Another change is on the subscription limits, and I wouldn't really say it's a change because this is a policy that's always been there from Microsoft. But I think what I should be saying is it is now being enforced. So here we're talking about the subscription limits where you have a seat limit on the business plans. So as you know, if you're signing up onto, Microsoft 365 Business Basic or Premium, those business plans, they do have a seat cap or seat limit of 300 seats per plan, meaning you are not supposed to provision more than 300 seats for your Business Basic, and you're not supposed to provision more than 300 seats for your Business Premium. Okay, but currently I think there had been a loophole that was there where a customer was able to purchase from different partners, where they can go to partner A and be able to, provision one subscription, get onto the 300 seat limit, and then go to another partner and also provision, additional seats, thereby allowing the customer to go over that limit. As it is, when you now move to NCE, which we're all going to have to move on to sooner or later, when you move to NCE, that policy is now being enforced. Microsoft is now taking a global view where they look at the tenant, regardless of the partner that you've purchased the subscription from. So that limit is going to be at a tenant level in terms of Microsoft's view, and they're going to enforce it. And what this means is if any of your customers are in that breach or in breach of that policy, the additional seats that they provisioned after they hit the 300 seat limit will become inactive when they migrate. And I think the challenge that's there at the moment, because some of you might have questions to say, okay, how do we then identify these customers? At the moment, Microsoft will not be providing us with, a list of the customers. But I think the most important thing that we could take note of or to do going forward is when you do have a customer who is on these business plans and you migrate them to NCE and they advise you that maybe, sorry, I think someone is unmuted. Okay. Yeah, I was saying when your customers are being migrated to the new commerce experience, what you can do is if a customer complains to say, listen, you've migrated me, but I've got some business plans that are not active anymore that were, most likely that might be one of those customers. Or if you're aware that, maybe you did this knowingly or unknowingly and are in breach, I think it's quite important to then either find a solution where you can either suggest, a higher plan, service plan to offer your customer so that you're not found in breach and don't have these seats being deactivated. So it's quite important because from our view, a partner can only see what they've sold. And that's the reason why we aren't able to identify those customers. And currently Microsoft is not yet providing that information and will not give or send out any notifications to these customers. So just something to take note of going forward, that we won't be able to take that loophole. And any customers who were, in breach of this will face a challenge when they migrate. Okay, now some changes that are also coming is in terms of, increasing the number of seats or upgrading your seats, as well as decreasing your seats and downgrading. Currently, as it is, I think we all know we can do that at any time. So a customer can, usually for most subscriptions, a customer can go and, increase their number of seats at any time, or they can decide to decrease the number of seats at any time. Going into NCE, this is going to change. And I think the major change that I'm going to highlight is on decreasing the seats and downgrading. And that's because when you're really looking at increasing seats and upgrading, you will be able to do this at any point in time. So basically nothing changes when comparing to what you currently have at the moment in terms of, being able to increase your seats or do a SKU upgrade. And just so that we're all clear in terms of the terms we're using, increasing your number of seats is basically I have 5 exchange kiosk licenses, and I want to add on 2 more exchange kiosk licenses. And then in terms of an upgrade, it's either I'm on an Office 365 E1 plan, and then I want to, change those seats to Office 365 E3. That's what I would call an upgrade. And the reverse is true on the decreasing seats and downgrades. Okay, so as I mentioned, in terms of increasing seats and upgrading, you're able to do this at any point in time, during your subscription. So regardless of whether you've signed up on an annual term or 36-month, or you're just on your monthly term that renews at the end of every month, you can increase those seats and do your upgrades. In terms, just to add to that, in terms of your term upgrades, meaning maybe I also want to change from a monthly term to an annual term, a 36-month term, you're also able to do that at any point in time. Okay. Billing plans now might be a bit tricky. There's a list of scenarios, and we'll share a little PDF just to give you, it's almost like a matrix that you can tick off in terms of the different scenarios where you're allowed to change your billing plan. But as long as you're doing a term upgrade, you're allowed to do that at any time. Billing plan changes are based as per scenario, where maybe you want to start paying annually, or you want to change from paying annually to monthly. So we'll share those with you because it's quite a bit of a list to go through, but something just to take note of. Now, as I mentioned, the major change is coming in terms of when you're able to decrease your number of seats or to downgrade to a lower service plan. Now, this will match the 72-hour period that we mentioned before. So that cancellation window that we mentioned, where you're only able to cancel within the first 72 hours from the time you've had your licenses provisioned, or you've had your subscription renewed as well. So the 72-hour window or period applies to both, a new sign up, you've just signed up, as well as you've just renewed your subscription. Okay, so you are only able now under NCE to decrease the number of seats or to downgrade within that 72-hour period. Meaning after the 72 hours has passed, even if you realize, okay, now I need to change, the number of seats, or I've got contract workers, if your end customer has contract workers, they would need to probably reconsider, or, something that you would have to guide them on to say if, that maybe you're working with contract workers for a specific project plan, where, you've got your permanent workers in your organization, and then you've also got the contract workers who are not permanent. It's better to put those contract workers on the monthly term. And the reason why I'm saying put them on a monthly term is you are only able to decrease the number of seats or to downgrade when your, renewal time comes up. Meaning if I'm on a monthly term, my renewal is coming up at the end of every month. So I've now got that flexibility if I know that, I don't always have a specific seat count that is fixed for specific users within my business. So it's something that's important to take note of, because, for example, if you are on a 36-month term, it means you're only able to then change those seats to downgrade or decrease the seat count at the end of your term. So something very important to take note of, especially when we're in consultation with customers and trying to advise them. The monthly term does come with a high cost, but it's about looking at how long do you have, the temporary workers or contract workers for. And remember, with your subscriptions, even under NCE, you can have a mix. So you can have your business standard, the first subscription, because you've got a limit of 2 subscriptions per service plan. You can say your first subscription for business premium or business basic, you put that on a different billing option, as well as a different subscription term. And then you can have the other licenses as well on a more flexible or monthly term. That's still possible. So something to take note of. It's better for us to advise on the exact number that's required or the minimum that's required, and then upgrade as we go, because that's what will be easier for us to do going forward. Another change is in terms of your trials. Currently, as we know, our trials, they're all 30 days. I think standard is 25 licenses that you get, or 25 seats that you get for your trial, and it's always 30-day trial standard for most service plans. Currently, in the system, legacy CSP, your trial will auto expire. So you don't need to do anything, that at the end of the 30 days, if the customer hasn't come back to me, or if I haven't followed up with the customer, that service is not going to renew, so I'm not going to be billed. Coming on to NCE now, there's now more effort required from our part to then, actively engage with the customer, see how things are progressing during that trial you've offered, because at the end of the trials will now automatically convert to paid offers. And these paid offers will be on a default annual term with the monthly billing. So that's what they will automatically convert to. And take note, because this trial is converting to an annual term, it means you're going to be held down for, the full year if that trial converts. There is an option to stop the trial from, converting to a paid subscription at the end. I'm going to briefly speak on that function that's coming. But as it is, I think it's important. It also pushes us. I don't think it's a bad thing. It also pushes us to constantly look at the trials we have, constantly engage our customers. But something very important to note, so that you don't find yourself with a commitment and yet the customer hasn't given you their commitment on their end. All right. Then in terms of add-ons, I think this is also a nice change that is being brought in. Currently, as it is, a base SKU is always, tied to the add-on. So if I have a base plan and I want to purchase an add-on, they are tied to the same subscription, meaning I have to purchase them from the same, partner that I've purchased them from. So if I'm a customer, I've gone to partner A, I've purchased my base plan, I've, my business standard, and maybe I want to purchase some additional storage space. This now means that as it is, if I want to get an add-on, and maybe I've also purchased some subscriptions from partner B, I can only purchase the add-ons from the partner that I purchased the qualifying or, the base SKU that I want to attach it to. And the disadvantage here is that even if a customer maybe has moved to a partner that they're more happy with and they want to go and purchase all their licenses from there, as long as they still have a subscription, which is the base subscription with another partner, currently they can only have add-ons sold by that other partner. Okay, so it's a disadvantage to all of us as partners. But now under NCE, you'll find that the standalone, the add-ons are now being configured and purchased as standalone SKUs. And what this now does for us is to allow us to now sell add-ons to customers we previously couldn't sell to. The Microsoft platform in the back end now will do the verification in the back end for us. So even if we can't see the subscription, the base subscription or base service plan that the customer purchased from another partner, as long as within their tenant, they have a qualifying base SKU for the add-on they want from us, we can now sell it. So this is really a good opportunity for us to now sell to those customers, whereas we previously couldn't. Okay. And take note, when you are purchasing the add-ons as standalones, you can either purchase, an excess. So maybe I've only got 5 base SKUs and I purchase 10 add-ons. That's going to be possible because there's no enforcement in the back end. There's no compliance check. So it's up to you to actually confirm with your customer how many, licenses they have from the other partner or provider that they purchased from, and then you configure or provision the corresponding or correct amount that you now want for the add-ons. Now this is the feature that I was talking about in terms of allowing you to prevent your trials from automatically converting to a paid subscription. So it's a new feature. It's called the auto renew toggle. And what basically this does is it allows us to schedule changes, all right, when a subscription has come to the time of renewal. So for example, if you are on a monthly term subscription, you're able to schedule certain changes you want to happen. And these changes can be you deciding to either downgrade, obviously, or upgrade, increase the number of seats, change your billing plan, change your subscription term. So it really brings about that ease of management. And please note, this is not always, it's not fully functional. I think as of the 1st of March, it will be fully functional within the platforms. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to mute. Okay, there. So yeah, basically this will help us to manage our subscriptions easier, especially if you have a customer who maybe is on an annual term and they've requested certain changes, or you need to decrease the number of seats that they have, or maybe on a monthly billing and that you've got contract workers for a customer who are leaving on a specific date. This makes it easier for you to then schedule these changes. And take note, the changes always happen at the time of renewal. And if you make any changes to your subscription midway, the auto renew feature that you have will basically remove all the other settings you've put. So anytime you make any change midway or just after provisioning, if you're within your 72-hour cancellation period, and maybe you change the SKU, any change you've made, as long as it's not the same exact subscription with the same seats, with the same service plan, those settings that you had set previously will be removed and you have to apply new settings. But we'll share something with you with a bit more detail on that to guide you. As it is by default under NCE, all subscriptions that are provisioned will have auto renew set to on, which means they'll automatically renew. If you don't want that term to renew, you will have to change that setting and set it off. Okay, we also mentioned some price increases that are coming up. All right, and these price increases are coming as of the 1st of March, and they are on these specific SKUs, okay, that we've listed here. And take note, these prices are going to affect you regardless of whether you are renewing under legacy or whether you're renewing under NCE. Something very important to note. And it's on those specific SKUs. Those are the significant changes in terms of pricing that are coming. And the pricing I've shared, just so that we were all on the same page, this is pricing per user per month. Okay, so for example, on the Microsoft 365 Business Premium, if you per user is currently, for example, $20, it's going to be $22. So an additional $2 per user that you'll be paying every month going forward, or the end customer will be paying. And the reason for these price increases, generally you'll notice that most of either the Office suite or the Microsoft 365 business plans have really not had any price changes in a significant number of years. But Microsoft has continued to build on them, adding services like Teams, which I think everyone is finding so much value in. They've also added additional security features, added a bit of AI, and just really improved and given more value, as well as added some additional productivity tools that are just helping each and every person be more efficient, be more productive. But they have not increased the price. And now has come the time for them to then, increase the price so that they can continue building and continue providing more value for us on these service plans that we're currently consuming. And you'll notice that some of these service plans will actually have some new features coming in. So don't take it as, a price increase that is coming without any value. Some of these plans will have some additional features coming up in terms of security that the end customer will definitely find to be valuable. And what it basically means is with these price changes that are coming up, it will be in our best interests to push our customers to convert to, if they're currently paying, on, if they want to be on a monthly term, it's best for them to go onto the annual term and renew on an annual term right now, because they get to lock in the current price they're enjoying if they have any of these SKUs under their existing subscriptions. Okay. So that said, to help us, drive this push onto to have our customers moving to NCE, because it is in our best interests as partners, and it also has some financial benefits it also gives to our customers in terms of locking down the price. But for us to be able to also drive this push on our end customers, Microsoft, has some promotions that they're running in partner with, their providers as well that are driving this. And in terms of the discounts they are giving, they're really trying to push customers to move to NCE and incentivize. So if you look, for example, on an annual term renewal, because what we're really trying to do is to push our customers to renew under NCE. Remember, customers still have an option to remain under legacy, but it's beneficial for them in terms of pricing, to move to the annual term renewals as well as the monthly term renewals that are under NCE. So looking at the annual term renewals, if your customer renews right now under NCE, they get to enjoy a 5% discount off their annual renewal price. All right. So this is a discount we're extending to you to extend to your end customers as well as an incentive for them to move. So basically they get to save more, they get to lock in the price for the next 12 months, even to any seats they add on after that period. So that is a benefit to our customers, and it's up to 2,400 seats per subscription. Okay. If someone is to also then renew on a monthly term, and obviously this is for those type of customers that we mentioned, are either constantly changing their seat count, it's never stagnant, and maybe, they find it a bit more flexible and affordable to go onto the monthly term. If they go onto the monthly term, in terms of their renewal right now, they get to enjoy a price lock for the next, 6 months. And they only start paying the higher prices as of the 1st of July. So remember, we did mention that on the monthly term under NCE, you will pay, a higher price, which is almost 20% higher. So if your customer is opting for the monthly term and, they renew right now under NCE, they get to enjoy the current pricing, meaning that even though come 1 March and, those prices go up, they will not be affected by that price. They will continue to pay their monthly fee of, if it was $5, they'll continue to pay $5. And then only as of the 1st of July will they maybe start paying $7, for example. So there are benefits to customers moving over to NCE now, especially in terms of those savings that we've mentioned. Okay, so in terms of, now migrating to NCE, firstly, if any customer can move to NCE if the subscriptions they have are eligible, okay? And I'm going to share a list in terms of which type of subscriptions are currently eligible, because Microsoft is still working on this. It's still something work in progress. So currently not all subscription types are able to be migrated. But if that subscription is eligible, you can decide to migrate to NCE at any time. So you can take any of your existing subscriptions and contact us and say, listen, I want to move this customer over to the new commerce experience and renew them on a monthly term, or hey, I want to lock in the price and go full force and lock them into an annual term. You can do that. What will happen when we actually migrate is you don't need to worry about things like double billing. Once the legacy CSP subscription has been successfully migrated to NCE, the system will automatically stop the billing and then start the billing under the new NCE with those discounts that we mentioned earlier. All right. And as soon as you get the new subscription being moved over to the NCE, that 72-hour period we talked about, where you can increase the number, where you can decrease the number of seats or downgrade or cancel, actually then kicks in. Okay, so if there are any changes that need to be made, it's important, especially if you're on those long-term subscription terms, to make those changes within that period, because those same rules that we spoke on in terms of the cancellation policy and downgrades and so forth will apply. Okay. And for any subscriptions, obviously, that do not, then migrate and pass the time that we have, or that Microsoft has given us to, either renew or migrate our subscriptions or customer subscriptions, it will go into an expired state. Okay. There is a deadline where Microsoft will no longer take anything under the legacy CSP. Okay, so speaking in terms of the subscription eligibility, the subscriptions that cannot be moved right now to NCE, that cannot be migrated, are subscriptions that have just been provisioned. So if I provision a subscription today, I can only move it to NCE after the first month, okay, of the service. So I have to wait for a month, and that is only when I'm able to migrate that service. Inactive subscriptions, retired or obsolete subscriptions, obviously those are not going to be moved. Trial subscriptions are also not going to be, eligible for migration. So if you have a trial, let the trial run its course, and then you can provision the actual subscription that the customer wants under NCE. Any subscriptions that have promotions, special promotions, and we'll advise you on those, because when you come to us, we'll always check to say this specific subscription is either eligible or it's not eligible. Also, subscriptions with add-ons. So as we mentioned before, if you've sold a base, service plan, and then you've also you've sold a base service plan and then an add-on on top of that to your customer, currently those subscriptions cannot be migrated. And this is not a restriction on our end, it's a restriction in terms of the Microsoft platform at the moment. They are not yet ready to take those type of subscriptions. Also, any plans that are government, education, or nonprofit or charity subscriptions currently are not being moved. We will be advised at a later date by Microsoft on when those will be eligible. But also, these are not really being affected by price increases that are coming. But yeah, but just something to take note of. Okay, in terms of requesting for a migration, at the moment, we will be assisting you in terms of doing this migration. So what you do is to raise a ticket at support@liquidcloud.africa. We will verify the migration eligibility on the platform, and then we will assist you in regards to the migration. All our support teams will be available, but you can just raise that request at the moment. And going forward soon, you will be able to process that on your own as well once we feel that everything is smooth sailing. Okay, now what this means for you as a customer in regards to all the points that we've discussed. Obviously, there's the savings. For your end customers, it's now easy to say, hey, listen, I will give you get an X percentage saving if you go on an annual commit versus you paying on a monthly. So I think that does also help push for those long-term commitments from our customers, and will most likely, hopefully, get a lot of annual conversions going forward because of that cost savings for customers who are confident of the numbers that they have and that these numbers are fixed. And I think also just from a billing perspective, or revenue projections, once you've got that annual commit or 36-month commit, you are assured, well, in terms of your billing or your projections, that this is the revenue that we are meant to expect. Also, when we spoke about the seat limits, the 300 seat limit, this is a potential for us to push for either upgrades, or to sell another type of service plan to these customers. And I mentioned selling add-ons, also another great thing for us, and a great thing for you as our partners. You'll now be able to sell those add-ons regardless of, where the customer might have the existing subscription. Okay. And then we mentioned those incentives just to try and help push our customers, encourage our customers to come through, get a discount, lock in the price, whether they're on a monthly term or whether they're on an annual term. Obviously, with the annual term having more benefits. And then also just in terms of, as a partner, the things to look out for is to obviously, communicate these changes in terms of the customers will be moving over to the NCE, migrating or renewing on NCE, so that they're aware that, these changes in terms of cancellation, your cancellation policy, downgrade policy, decreasing seats. And then also, when it comes to those long-term commits, it might be in your best interest. It's always a decision that we leave up to you to maybe start looking into, the credit vetting for these long-term commits, so that you don't find yourself caught out, with a payment that is being demanded, and yet maybe the customer is no longer in a position to pay. So it might be something worth looking at and trying to make a few changes in terms of, your policies or contracts or agreements. Okay, now just summarizing those timelines. In regards to price increases, as I mentioned, those specific SKUs that we talked about, the 6 SKUs, the March price increases will come as of the 1st of March. And then in terms of the promotions we mentioned, in terms of, getting a 5% discount on annual sign up, or locking in the price until the 30th of June this year on the monthly term, those are currently running, and you can extend those to your customers. New subscriptions, as I mentioned, as of the 10th of March this year, all new subscriptions will have to be under, the new commerce experience. So even on our platform, our marketplace, you will be now processing these under the new commerce platform, and new commerce terms. Legacy subscriptions, as I mentioned, currently, customers can renew, although obviously it's in their best interests to renew under NCE, but, should they wish, because remember, you also need the customer consent. So anytime we can't just migrate our customers onto NCE, we do need their consent before they move over, because of the changes in the terms. But that said, yeah, legacy subscription renewals will, as of the 1st of July, have to be on the new commerce platform. Our customers will no longer have that option to continue on the legacy. All right. And then in terms of incentives, as partners, it's within our interest to push our customers onto NCE, because Microsoft will stop paying incentives for any subscriptions that are still on, legacy as of the end of September. Okay. Right. So yeah, it's quite a lot to take in, but we thought to highlight at least the most significant changes, things to be aware of, to help you understand how you would best manage billing, as well as how we will be managing billing going forward, the changes in terms of contract terms, policies, and so forth, what you need to communicate to your customers. So that's it from me. I'm hoping it was clear, but I think, Shalini, I'm not too sure if there are, questions or anything anyone needs clarified.
Yeah, thank you, Yemo, for this insightful presentation. We do have a couple of questions, so I'll start with Daniel. So he's asking, how does the trial auto-conversion affect customers who currently have the Microsoft Teams exploratory trial?
Okay, all right. So just from that, what I'm getting is that is still on the legacy. So as long as that subscription is on the legacy, CSP, you don't need to worry, because that customer will have the trial auto expire. The only issue comes when any customers you put on a trial under the new commerce experience, those are the ones that will auto renew. But as I mentioned, there is an option to, set your subscription not to auto renew. So it's something you can manage. It's more of just making sure that, you pay attention and track that carefully to make sure that that trial does not renew, but that is only under NCE. But I'm sure that team's exploratory, trial that was mentioned is obviously under legacy, so you don't have to worry. It will expire on its own. Legacy is currently not affected.
Thank you.
Please feel free to unmute if I haven't answered you correctly when your question's being read out, just so that we're also clear.
So will add-on also be on a 12-month commit?
Okay, so when it comes to the add-ons, yes, they will also be on a 12-month, okay, for your add-ons. And this is if you've subscribed under, if you've subscribed on NCE. There are some terms that can change in terms of, some people will add, for example, an add-on onto a base SKU, and then later on they want to upgrade that. So that is when you can have that add-on removed. But yes, in terms of the terms, those terms will apply.
Okay, thank you. And is the migration done via Odin?
Yes, the migration is done via Odin, but currently we are doing it with our partners to assist them. And then once we are confident that everything is smooth sailing, we don't have any hiccups, then, our customers will be able to do that in the future. So even in terms of new provisioning in March, our customers will be,
so this is the one.
be able to provision.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm just going to try and mute. Okay. Hi, Shalini, did you get me?
Yes, I hope it answers your question. So yeah, William is asking if we can get a copy of the presentation. Yes, I will send the deck to all presenters, to all attendees today. I don't see any questions in the chat. Before we close the question, do we have any other questions that we may answer? No questions. Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining us today. You can reach out to myself or Yemurai if you want more insights around NCE. So thank you for joining us and enjoy the rest of your day.